Good morning to the media and welcome to today's press conference. At the head table, we have co-leaders of the WPA, Rohit Kanai and Takuma Ogunse, chairperson, Dion Abrams, and organizing secretary, Kedaki Amsterdam. We will start with the usual statement, which would be in two parts. And this would be done by myself and Kedaki. GCOM's Commissioner Vincent Alexander has revealed that GCOM Secretariat has indicated that it would be ready for the much anticipated general and regional elections by September 2025. If that information is correct, then one can assume that that body has formally or informally apprised the president of this proposed timetable. It should be noted that the vice president has repeatedly floated November as the likely month for the election. Whether it is September or November, there is very little time left for GCOM to ensure that the election meets accepted standards for a free and fair poll. For the WPA, a voters list which reflects the true size of the electorate along with the implementation of biometrics are its minimum requirements for such a poll. However, we have concluded that time has run out for GCOM to put these mechanisms in place in time for the September or November election. Against this background, WPA believes that while GCOM may be ready to conduct elections to meet the statutory deadline, it is simply not ready to conduct a free and fair election. GCOM's failure to meet the latter standard is due to a combination of delaying tactics on the part of a majority of the Commission and the capture of the organization's machinery by the PPP. The WPA therefore declares that it has lost full confidence in GCOM to deliver free and fair elections. This is indeed a travesty which our country can ill afford. In a situation where successive elections have been challenged by both sides of the political divide, GCOM's stubbornness and downright disregard for the recommendations of the opposition and those of several observer organizations smacks of official conspiracy to deliver fraudulent elections. WPA is convinced that the PPP will do anything to manufacture a victory at the election. But we ask, why is GCOM prepared to take such a colossal risk? Why is GCOM's chair prepared to risk our credibility by presiding over the most barefaced seizure of the electoral process? These questions beg answers. They demand answers. Where do we go from here? Unless the international community intervenes, or there is mass action by a critical mass of Guyanese, the opposition would be forced to either boycott the election or participate under duress. Both options are fraught with extreme danger. For its part, WPA's instinctive response would be to boycott the polls. But for such a move to have the desired effect, it would have to be embraced by the broad opposition which in turn would have to ensure that PPP's plans are disrupted. In this regard, WPA, despite our initial instinct, would be guided by an all-opposition strategy. The opposition cannot be divided on this matter. Participation in elections in which the rules are rigged in favor of one actor is an equally tricky proposition for the dissenting parties. Why participate in an election which you contend is rigged against you? The obvious answer is that non-participation would be akin to ceding the entire government to the other side. WPA has much sympathy for this contention. For the record, our party boycotted the 1980 election because we were convinced it would be rigged. But in 1985, we participated in the election of that year, although we thought it would be similarly fraudulent. We'll now ask Brother Kadaki to present the second part of our statement today. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, brother Kedaki. I will now ask brother Takumo Ogunse, brother Dion Abrams, and brother Rohit Kanai in that order for brief comments on the press statements that was just read. Brother Ogunse, then brother Dion Abrams, and then Rohit Kanai.
Rooney housing development is part of a national plan.
Press and the viewers who are watching this WPA press conference. The opposition division in the country has, in a big way, influenced the PPP and GCOM's approach to elections. And the fact that they are pressing ahead with elections showing disrespect for the concerns raised by the opposition parties and the great majority of Guyanese people, is evident that the regime is prepared to impose its will on the Guyanese people. The WPA have long predicted that in this election struggle, we have a very difficult road ahead, given the nature of the government and given the fact that our society have lost a lot of its ability to engage in the necessary political action that is needed when you're dealing with a set of rulers who are committed to domination and who are committed to impose the individual and collective will on the country. And we predict that this is going to be a difficult road to walk. Hopefully, we have to try to be a little optimistic that somewhere or the other, we could avoid the worst in this equation. Guyana is unprepared to defend its national interests, be it be the border, be it be tariff, be it be sovereignty in terms of who we trade with. The division in the nation is so profound that it is difficult for us to find common ground on any important national issue. And this division makes it easy for friend and foe to take advantage of us. That is our reality. The WPA wants to reiterate its call for a national audit of the 100,000 cash grant project. We have made this call before, and now that the process is in its ending stage, we believe it is fitting for us to reiterate the importance of having a national audit so that the nation will have an appreciation of the cost of this activity and the efficiency involved in its delivery. We believe that given the kind of money that's been spent, it will be criminal for the government to deny the taxpayers information on this important national exercise. Finally, the WPA wants to draw the nation's attention to Brother Yusi's Guyana's intended fast for the betterment of Guyana. Brother Guyana last Saturday evening, invited the nation to join him in this important exercise in the interest of the country and its people. And we want to take this opportunity to draw it to the attention to the wider public, and as we necessary information as to how you would indicate your participation is made public. We will do our best to make sure that information gets to you. Those are my brief comments.
Brother Dion Abrams, Chairman of the WPA.
Thank you, Dr. Hines, for the opportunity to the press release of the Working People's Alliance. I also want to welcome viewers of the public and to welcome the members of the media who are with us today. I think as the statement would have said, Guyana is in a sad state in relation to GCOM and what has been transpiring in that body as regards our elections. It is sad that integrity is no more a factor in people's lives when it comes to dealing with issues that are both private and public. And the call for GCOM's chair to recognize that her integrity is on the line in the manner in which she has been dealing with the GCOM issue is one that is fitting. And I don't know, nothing has so far struck a chord with her in relation to her actions at GCOM. And we are hopeful that even at this stage, that something will register with her to make her take a different approach. The contention that the PPP may have been aware or apprised of this new timeline set for the elections is somehow supported by the recent meeting of the PPP in Canal number 2 port, where obviously they have begun the campaign. They have been given a head start above all the others. And this is also something that we should be concerned about. The inaction of the opposition in relation to GCOM and in relation to dealing with the public is one of concern. I believe that the WPA and that we need to up our game in terms of a strong agitation for the change that we see. Our simply registering our concern at fora like these seems not to be getting across. And we run the risk, again, of interference from external forces determining and dictating the results of our elections. The pandering of the government to the USA and other agencies and governments of that ilk to maintain power is of concern, and we are hopeful that this time around that we do not have that kind of biased approach to dealing with the elections in Guyana. The tariffs are of a concern. The new government of the United States has basically caused an upheaval in the entire sphere of international relations, economic and otherwise. And it's sad that we, poor countries like ours, and poor countries across the world, are becoming victims of this new attempt to bring some kind of resurgence to the United States economy. I think we, as a nation, of course, the effects have been outlined. We expect that the fallouts will be very grave for the Caribbean and for Guyana. But we have to begin to take another look at how we deal with our own internal policies towards the international community. And I say that because when we look at how we have been dealing with international and transnational agents in terms of our resources, we seem to give priority to external agencies and not to our own people and our own resources. We have to begin to understand that the resources that we have, whether it's oil, gold, timber, that they are valuable to us and that we must have a greater stake in the manner in which we come to agreements for the extraction of these. All these, the business of simply allowing people to come in and to work, basically, you know, extracting our resources without paying any tariffs, being given all these concessions and so on. We too have to begin to relook at how our economic policies are implemented. We have companies that have come here that have worked for over 10 years, have not declared profits, but they are here for 10 years. We don't understand how is it that you're not making profit and you're still extracting our resources, and nothing is being done by the government to put a halt to this. One company simply left after the government asked for payment of taxes, and they just upped and left, and then came through the back door via alternative routes to again begin to try to extract our resources. These things have been highlighted in the media, and it is sad that we are allowing it to continue. I am hopeful that Guyana does not have to go down the road of chaos due to elections that are basically decided before the day of voting. That is the impression that we get, and we are calling on those responsible for putting us on that road to have another thing for the best interest of the nation. Thank you.
You, Brother Dion. Brother Rohit, can I? Please unmute yourself, Brother Rohit. Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. As we celebrate Brother UC's 100th birthday, we are reminded that more than 50 years ago, Brother UC called for us to either share this nation as a people together in unity, or as a last resort, we divide this country rather than fight each other. Today, more than ever, we are faced with that stark reality. Given the tremendous resources we have at our disposal, especially that of oil resources, the elections should serve as a means of unifying the country. There should be no doubt as to who the victors are, and even the victors in victory should seek to unify the country to move forward. As is well known, a house divided against itself will fall. Today, more than ever, Guyana needs to unify in order to move forward. There are more challenges now being added to all the other factors we are faced with the tariffs, and the call for national unity is even greater. The elections must not divide us. We must not be left in doubt as to how power is distributed in the country. We should not be at each other's throat after the elections. So every attempt must be made, as we have done before in 1989 through 1992, to ensure there were free and fair elections. There was a tremendous effort on the part of civil society to participate in the struggle for free and fair elections. So this is not a struggle only for the opposition, but for all sectors of society to come forward to ensure the elections are not beyond question. Thank you, Brother Chair.
Thank you very much, Brother Rohit. And we have had quite a number of issues raised there this morning. We now invite members of the media to pose questions to us. Please identify. Well, we heard you here. Yes, we heard you here. Yeah. So can we open it up to the media, please? Identify yourself and your media house, and please pose your questions.
Dennis Gibraltar Moravia's first question with a follow-up. Dr. Heinz, when last has the joint opposition grouping met to discuss political issues in the country?
Not in the recent past. The last time would have been a couple of months ago.
And why?
Well, both the AFC and the PNC have been engaged, as you know, in negotiations regarding the coalition. There have been similar talks with the PNC and the WPA, and in the talks between the PNC and the WPA, we have touched on the general situation in the country. But the emphasis has been more on pulling together the coalition.
And has your party had any bilateral engagements with the PNC or APNU?
Yes, as I said, we have been in continuous talk with the PNC for the last 4 or 5 months. I think we have had about 3 or 4 meetings. We had a meeting as recent as 2 weeks ago, and we have been having those talks. As I said, the talks have been 2 parts. Partly talking about building a coalition for the elections, and partly taking stock of the political situation in the country.
And really, this is my substantive follow-up, barring those small ones that I may ask. What has been the PNCR APNU's response to the need for political action to ensure that you achieve your objective of a clean voters list and a free and fair election?
Well, I would prefer the PNC, APNU speak for itself or themselves. We wouldn't want to speak for them. But we have discussed taking action with them. The WPA's position is that these matters, we cannot act unilaterally. For actions to have the desired effect, we are very clear that the broad opposition, including all the forces, should take action together. That has been our emphasis. We have hesitated to go out on our own because we don't want in this period to contradict the broader opposition. And that is why we have been stressing that on these matters, we want to act together. Unfortunately, we have not been able to put together any joint action beyond the setting up of a technical committee, which we've talked about, and which has been meeting at least once per week. But beyond that, we have not met as a broad opposition to discuss political action. Although all the parties gave their commitment, well, certainly. Let me pull that back. When we met with the PNC and with the PNC, there was a commitment between our two parties that action needs to be taken. But we have not moved beyond that.
And why? Why is it up times? You're persistently calling for the last 3 to 4 years for political action, but none is being done in the way that you expect, or even at all. What is your diagnosis of why this is not happening based on what you're hearing in these meetings bilaterally and as a joint opposition group? There must be some reason.
Well, all I know is that we have not been able to convince our sister parties to take action beyond what is taken. As you know, there is an ongoing small protest in front of GCOM every Tuesday. And every now and again, the leadership of the parties would turn up at that event. But beyond that, there has not been any other action, individually or collectively. Again, I don't want to second guess, I don't want to diagnose the reason our sister parties have not been more aggressive in terms of a more spirited action. WPA is ready. As I said, WPA is ready, but we prefer that rather than each of us using our small force to register our protest, that it would be most effective if we join our voices together in a loud voice.
Yeah, but beyond diagnosing and second guessing, you must be asking them at some point in time, why aren't you coming on board? Why is it not happening? You must be asking them.
Again, we are reluctant to speak for our sister parties. They do have press conferences weekly, and perhaps it's a question that should be posed to them.
I'm not asking you to speak for them. I'm asking you, you're saying that this is not happening. You don't want to second guess. You don't want to do this. So I'm asking you, as they advocate for this action, what it is that they have been telling you. You're advocating this action.
Well, they have not been telling us anything. They have just not been coming forward and taking action. They have not been telling us anything.
And I take it you're not asking.
No, I don't think it is our place to ask, why are you not taking action? We have put our proposal on the table, and these are mature parties, these are mature actors, and they have to act based on how they evaluate the situation. And, we don't think it's good manners to ask, why are you not taking a certain kind of action? Well, as all that we can speak for is ourselves. We are ready when our sister parties are ready.
If I may say, Brother Moderator, the concern that Dennis has is a genuine one, and the WPA recognizes. I was at Brother UC's 100th birthday celebration, and the senior citizen came to me and she was expressing, she said, I was trying to call you to find out why is it that nothing is happening. And that concern pervades across, the country. And like Dennis, we share that concern, but as you have said, Dr. Hines, we cannot speak for the other party. But I am hopeful that now that things seem to have gone over the falls, that some new look will be taken in terms of our response to the current political situation here in
Any other questions from the media? We just want to reiterate Brother Ogun's reference to the proposed fast by Brother Guyana. And we want to say the WPA endorses that political action. Brother Guyana has been known for fasting going back 60 years. And WPA endorses the fast, and that members of our party would be acting in solidarity with Brother UC, meaning that we would be participating in the fast in solidarity with him.
The fast, if we can explain, it's not a gathering as such. The email address is onedayfast2025@gmail.com. You just join that link, email whether you're going to participate, and say whether you're going to miss a meal, whatever. So it's not that we're congregating at a special location. At the end of the period, then the numbers will be revealed that so many people have joined the fast. And so your contributing, your joining is going to be important because the numbers will speak in terms of who are concerned about the state of affairs in Guyana. So just join the link and let's all show to the world that we have that great concern for democracy and all of the other things that we need in Guyana. Alleviation of poverty and every other, good governance, all the other aspects of life here.
We think it's a shame that someone 100 years old would have to once again put his body on the line for our country. WPA asks, what must be done for our leaders to recognize that we have is forced to take such an extreme action? It's an indictment of all of us as leaders of this country, that we are too busy trying to cling to power rather than humanize our country. The double standards, the hypocrisy. There are people who have accused our party of wanting to foment violence before the election and after the election, that we are using the situation as GCOM in order to ignite violence in the country. And these very people, their party has initiated violence. The way in which they're treating the Mohammeds, the physical altercation, the blatant use of the state apparatus to harass a private citizen and potential political opponent. That is violent. And not only the opposition is silent, but civil society is silent. If there was a physical altercation between opposition supporters and PPP supporters in Buxton, the media would have been full. It would have been front page. Yet you have altercations, physical altercations going on. And it's as if nothing is happening. And you know, the double standards in our country is contributing to what's happening. We do not say that citizens should not be concerned about other things. We are seeing protests, for example, against the Commissioner of Information. We support that protest. But where is the equal outrage against violence in people turning up in communities? Where is the outrage against GCOM, which is blatantly disrespecting the opposition demands? Where is the outrage? This country, the elites in this country, are as responsible as the politicians for the social and political decay. And you know, the WPA is outraged at this. Is outraged. These are forces that were very loud in their condemnation of what they saw as attempted rigging in 2020. Yet there is preparation for rigging the 2020 election, and they're saying nothing. Rigging just doesn't happen after election. We now know that it happens long before election. Where are the guardians of democracy? Where are the voices? So it's not just the opposition by its lack of public action that are responsible. They're also the hypocritical elements in our society, elites in our society, who are very selective about what is going on as far as the country is being governed. And we all will be responsible for whatever happens to our country going forward. The WPA just wants to say that. Are there any other questions? No, no, no. If not, we want to thank the media for coming once again. We know that there's a lot happening as far as news is concerned, and we know that media houses these days are short on staff, and we welcome the fact that members of the media take time out to come to our press conference. As a minor party, we are very thankful that at least some media houses give us an hearing, and so we just want to thank you for that, and to thank the audience on social media who join these press conferences, thus helping to spread the word. So until next week, when we hold another press conference on behalf of my colleagues here and the entire WPA, we want to say goodbye. And as I said, see you all next week. Thanks.